short, was fired. Now, what you need to know about me, I'm a type A, overachiever. I love hitting the mark. I'm super competitive. I love making things better and then making things better and then making things better, right? And so this news of being fired, shock is an understatement. And in that moment, like all of these emotions ran through me. I don't know if you've had an experience like this where you get that unexpected news that just sends you into this shock wave. And I went through the emotions of fear, and then I went through the emotions of being pissed and angry. And then I called a girlfriend, right? I was like, wow, I need some help here. And I called a girlfriend and I told her what happened. And I was so angry and so irate. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. Like I was all things at one time. And she asked me this question. She's like, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? Now, she meant that with deep compassion and love, but it triggered me even more. And I barked back at her on the phone. I was like, what do you mean? What's the worst thing that could happen? And in that moment, I kid you not, in that moment, I truly, because my emotions had gotten the best of me, I thought I was going to be homeless. I was also recently divorced at the time. This is the first time in my life I'd ever been on my own. Divorced, no job, no money. I knew I was going to be homeless. I knew I was going to be on the side of the road. I knew I was going to be in a gutter with no food to eat. Like that, I can still feel how real that was for me in that moment. And my girlfriend so beautifully just listened, and she's like, okay, so let's see. I've got an extra bed. You've got a place to live. You're not going to be on the streets. I've got more food in my fridge than I ever need. I got you covered. You'll have meals to eat. And she went through every one of these very real fears for me and answered them. And in that moment, I was like, oh, so what is the worst thing that's going to happen? And in that moment, I faced my worst nightmare, right? I faced it head on, and I realized and remembered, she helped me remember that I was smart. I'm a smart woman. I'm very capable. And I had all of these talents and abilities, and I knew that I could come out of this however I wanted to. I could react to it. Trust me, I did. And I could get busy doing something about it, right? And it was in that moment that I made a decision. And I decided I did not want to put my livelihood, my future, my health and well-being, my emotional state in the hands of somebody else anymore. I wanted to take the hobby of coaching, because I'd been doing it as a hobby for a couple years, right? It's just kind of fitting in and around my lifestyle. If I coached people, that's fine. If I didn't, that's okay too. If people paid me, wow, that was cool. If they didn't, no big deal. It was just a hobby. And now I made a decision. I wanted to take that hobby and I wanted it to be a business. I wanted to go out and I wanted to do this thing because I realized that coaching was something that I loved. It was my natural approach to my management style when I had my career. It's what I loved. It's how I loved showing up. And I wanted to turn this into a business so I could just do this thing regularly and I could make an impact in people's lives that mattered, and I could get paid generously to do so. I was like, that's what I want to do. So excited. And then I realized, whoa, wait a minute. I have no experience running a business. I knew how to be a great employee, right? I knew how to be a great manager. I did not know how to set up a business. I'd never associated myself as an entrepreneur. I did not know what that meant, but I knew, all right, I can do this. I've just got to figure out what I have to do to set up a business, and then I got to implement it. I can totally do this. And in that moment, I had another realization. I was like, okay, if people are going to pay me for my services, I'd better deliver a great experience. I'd better be confident that I can deliver what I talk about when I meet with people. And if I was going to be confident that I could deliver, like this is where my management practice came in, right? If I was going to be confident what I delivered, then I had to have everything behind the scenes in place. I had to have those fundamentals in place so that nothing slipped through the cracks. Because then I knew that my clients and the people I was talking to would have a great experience. So they would be confident in paying me. I'd be confident in talking about what I was doing, and they would feel confident in paying me. I was like, all right, so now I got to go get busy figuring out how do I set up a business, right? It wasn't how do I get clients. Instead, this conclusion that I came to is like, all right, I got to set up a business, because once I have that in place, then I'll freely be able to go get clients. Right? And so that's what I spent my time on. I wanted to make sure I was working smarter, not harder. Because remember, on my own, divorce, no job. I had to make money. I had to get results fast. So I had to put this into place, right? And because I got the fundamentals of my business in place first, now I was not in reactionary mode. I was in proactive mode. And I was confident behind the scenes, and then I could be confident putting myself out there. You know, I hear all the time people talking about, I don't like marketing, I don't like selling, I'm not confident putting myself out there. And what I've learned is it's usually not because you don't like marketing or selling. I mean, that's just a great form of coaching. But in my experience, in my journey, what I learned was when I had the back office supporting me, I had the confidence to talk about what I was doing. And in a matter of under 6 months, I had a full paying practice of full paying clients. I had replaced my income from my previous job. I was well on my way to making $50,000. I was having fun. I was still involved in my coach training. I was setting up my coaching business while I was in coach training. I was able to do those at the same time. Right? And that's what made it work, was to get things in place behind the scenes first. Just going out and trying to blindly pursue getting clients, that was reactionary mode. The type A overachiever, I don't like that. I want to make sure I'm going to get results. I want to work smarter, not harder, so that I am getting results. And you know, our stories, they don't define us. How we respond to our stories and our scenarios and our situations, that's where our real power lives. It reminds me of this this quote that I heard a long time ago. You know, Jack Canfield said it. He calls it our so what story. You know, I've got my story. I was fired. I have all kinds of stories about all this stuff that happened to me that could have held me back. My mom died unexpectedly, like divorce, like, oh, I could go through all these stories, and those could have legitimately held me back. I know you have your stories too. You've got your situation. You're probably immersed in them right now, and our stories don't define it, but how you respond to them, that's where your power lives, right? It is time. Now is the time. It's time to be committed. It's time to be committed to yourself. It's time to be committed to your gifts, to your passion, to your dream. It's time to be committed to those people that are ready and waiting for the services that you offer and how you can help them. They need your guidance, right? It is time to stop wasting time on trial and error. It's time to stop wasting your energy on blindly pursuing and being scattered. It's time to stop hoping that something's going to work. Hope is rarely a good business strategy, right? It is time to step into your confidence. And that is why one of the reasons that I've put together our Easy Breezy Coaching Business Bootcamp, and why we're opening enrollments for that. You've heard story after story. We're going to have them throughout this workshop series, in our community, on our Facebook group, in our pages, like everywhere. You hear story after story about the transformation in people's coaching business and setting up their business and launching their business and taking it to another level. And now it's your time. You're going to have trepidation. You're going to have emotions. Your fears are going to kick in. Your doubts are going to kick in. But what I'm here to tell you, like what I experienced in that moment, your courage just has to be one notch louder than your fears. You take that step confidently, with the fear still present, surrounded by a like-minded, like-spirited community, and you go for it. We've got the path. We've got the roadmap. We've got the platform. We've got the support. We've got the community. Everything you need to be unstoppable. Now's your time. You'll see the link below. I invite you to join us in boot camp. I can't wait to get my hands on your business. I can't wait for you to be our next success story, inspiring others and the next generation of entrepreneurs that come after you. You ready? It's time. Click that link. I'll see you in boot camp.